Okay, welcome everyone. My name is insert name here. Just kidding. My name is Jason Johnson. I'm Director of Strategic Partnerships here at Route for Me, and welcome to our webinar on last mile technology. We are going to go ahead and get started right now. So hopefully everybody's as excited as we are to have you join us, and we're looking forward to diving into this topic. So as I mentioned, I'm Jason Johnson. We also have Sean Stenson on the call. I'll let Sean introduce himself briefly, and then we will go ahead and dive right on in.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Hey, guys. Sean Stenson, one of the strategic partner managers here throughout for me. I've been in telematics for 25 years now with Route for Me, 6.5. So looking forward to this informative session and seeing what questions you guys might have as we'll be taking care of those at the end of the session.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So to answer one of the top and pressing questions, I'm sure on everybody's mind is who is Route for Me? So Route for Me was actually started in 2009. We were built off of a world-class routing engine. That's kind of where we started. And since then, we've grown to a team of over 175 team members all around the world.
Hey,
There are
Jason,
several things.
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick. You need to share your screen, my man.
Oh, my bad. That's a technical glitch on my part. My apologies, everyone. And that should now be corrected.
Yes, sir.
And take two. Who is Route for Me? As I mentioned before, we were built off of a world-class routing engine. We're a team of over 175 team members from all around the world. Some of the things that we do exceptionally well that I am super proud of, and I know our customers love taking advantage of, and I brag about all the time, is our support team. 24/7 support. There's a human here at Route for Me all the time. They're available to answer your questions, whether it's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m., whether it's live chat, email, smoke signal potentially if you sent it up. I do believe we are fanatical enough about support that is a possibility that somebody just might answer, although we do recommend sticking to the premium channels of telephone, live chat, or email. Best way to get in touch with us. Our app has been downloaded over 2 million times. There's a lot of user feedback that has come from that, and the benefits to our clients, organizations that deal with us is in the fact that it is extremely user-friendly, easy to adopt, and drivers really, really enjoy using our app. So without further ado, let's hop into what we're going to be covering on this webinar. So this webinar will encompass technology and how it fits into last mile and all the key requirements, some of the core components. We'll talk about how it fits into your tech stack. And then what we'll also do is we'll dive into building a business case around last mile technology and how it really fits into your business and how the business can benefit from it. So step one, key requirements for last mile transportation platforms. Who should look at last mile for their business? I mean, if you are serving customers and some of the stuff you have to do is delivery or pickup, service, transportation, or inspection, these are all things, if you're in that space, that last mile would be, and last mile technology specifically, would be extremely beneficial. If you're getting your information in the form of orders, or if you're following a schedule, or if you have large vehicles, commercial vehicles that have to follow specific roads or rules or compliance stuff, think about things like avoiding bridges or tunnels or other road restrictions. If all those factor in to how you visit your customers, those are things that last mile transportation technology can be extremely beneficial in solving. What this leads to is the technology helps drive your last mile excellence. So we take your business data, customers, drivers, vehicles, locations, like different business rules, different constraints. And what do I mean by that? Business rules could be things like having the right technician or driver perform the right service or delivery with the right piece of equipment, going to the right stop. Constraints like I don't want my routes to be longer than 5 hours, 7 hours, 9 hours, or I have to adhere to ELD requirements with max drive time, and we don't want our drivers to spend more time driving than they're supposed to legally. All those things factor in, and last mile optimization drives that. So, what should you expect from last mile technology? Optimization specifically should simplify the complex. It should take these complex business needs that you have, and you might say, well, my business needs aren't really that complex. And at the surface, individually, like one at a time, they're probably not. But when you start factoring them in, for example, like a Rubik's Cube only has 6 different colors on it, but there's over a quintillion different possibilities in terms of how that could be solved. So at the surface, super simple. Underneath the surface, the undercurrent can be extremely complex. And optimization technology specifically should be able to help you solve those, helping non-technical people make operational decisions faster and more accurately, helping managers get better visibility, creating an opportunity and an environment where continual improvement is at the core of what you're doing. So how does last mile technology connect to the larger organization is also something that we run into all the time and questions we get asked. And they're all like super fair questions, because when people start thinking about, well, I already have a warehouse management system, I already have a transportation management system, I already have telematics. For the love of all that's good and great, how much more technology do I need? Well, when you start looking at where things fit in, they're all different pieces of a puzzle that you use to form what is ideally like a beautiful picture. And where the optimization connects in is it actually connects to all these different systems. CRMs, service management, as I mentioned before, your warehouse management, your telematics, your mobile devices. It really kind of helps move things upstream and downstream through the organization, creating more efficiency. So, a key thing to remember is that optimization is a journey, it's not a destination. And we say that, and if you've met Sean and I in person, you probably heard us say this before. If you were on our last webinar, it's probably a theme that you hear repeating. And the reason for that is because that is a core reality within optimization and what it is. Better is better, but better can always be better. And part of having the right technology partner inserted into your technology stack, working with your planners and your logistics teams and your fleet managers and everybody else that plays in this space to help deliver an exceptional customer experience, benefits from these things. Because what we want to do is we want to create a strategy that matches what the business needs. And then we need to be able to take that strategy and incorporate it into an operational plan that we go and execute. And then in real time, we need to be able to see, like, how are we doing? Like, how are we doing versus the plan? And then when we've finished, we want to go back and look at the plan and look at the operations and say, hey, what can we do better? Could we have built a better plan? Could we have optimized and executed operationally better? And how do we get better on both sides of that? And it creates this continuous circle of better is better is better. So that's kind of what it takes as part of the overall, components that go into creating this scenario. So let's dive a little deeper and look at some of the core components of how this actually works. So when you dig into a last mile transportation platform and its capabilities, this is a really great graphical representation of how data should flow through the different tools that work to create all these different outcomes. So for example, all your business platforms, your supply chain platforms, your telematics platforms, all that data is fed into your last mile transportation platform. And then that data is used and the tools within there to plan and optimize. That information, once planned and optimized, is then used to dispatch and track that work. The goal is to improve driver efficiency, leading to better business operations and achieving the ultimate goal of a better customer experience. We marry this with the ability to look back through operational and optimization insights to give you strategic real-time look backs so that you can create that planned versus actual environment to continually get better. So last mile route optimization specifically, like what can you expect or what should you expect from it? Well, you should expect reduced planning time and increased productivity. We have some business cases that we'll talk about a little bit later where we can highlight scenarios customers have taken and reallocated strategic assets in the form of either people or sometimes it's in the form of actual vehicles and be able to put them in places where they're more effective. Um, they've been able to save time on the people side. They've been able to make changes and adapt to chaos. And I mean, I don't know about everybody in this call, but Chaos is a friend of mine. He works at my desk right next to me. No day is ever the same, and no call is ever the same, as previously demonstrated by not sharing my screen at the beginning of this webinar. And but the ability to adapt to it and change things on the fly is one of the key features of a last mile optimization engine that helps make these things possible. So let's dive into different segments of this. So for example, dispatch and tracking. With dispatch and tracking, as we look at that, like what does this do? It helps seamlessly communicate with your drivers and your operational staff what is expected on a route, where it is supposed to go, how it is supposed to get there, all those key elements that go into creating a better driver experience. Better driver experiences lead to happier drivers stay. And as I'm sure anybody that has had to hire knows, when you have to hire somebody, not only is it disruptive, it's expensive, there's the training, there's all the rest of that goes into it. So communication and the ability to get that information out is key. Couple that with improved driver efficiency, helping drivers understand where they need to go, when they need to get there. Things like voice guided navigation, checklists, real-time communication, all that kind of fun stuff allows them to do their job more efficiently and creates a reliable workspace for them where they know when they're coming into work, they know when they're going to be finished, how long the route's going to be, how many stops, all the fun things that go into to making job satisfaction a key element for them and keeping them there. From driver efficiency, business operations benefit, right? So we go into streamlining delivery management. So integrating every step of the process from fulfillment to possession, chain of custody, all the way to proof of delivery. Taking a picture, if you think of your Amazon experience where there's a photo of the package outside your door if you're doing package delivery, or maybe service completion. So here was the before, here's the after. We've done the work, here's the proof. All those different things that go into making that customer experience that much better. So good customer experience leads to improved customer loyalty. Improved customer loyalty leads to less customer churn. So by having those customers stay and become sticky, business grows naturally because you continue to add customers. You're not replacing customers. Keys to that are things like setting and meeting expectations, staying in contact with your customers, reducing support costs. And of course, one of the fun things that our platform lets you do is share a branded tracking page that you can send via email or text message. It's got your logo on it. People can see exactly when their driver or technician is supposed to arrive and all that kind of fun stuff that helps create a really cool customer experience. Business analytics comes as part of the package, right? Getting real-time visibility into operations. How are we doing? Are we running on time, behind time? Is there issues we need to solve? All those types of things become visible and they no longer sneak up on you from behind. You can maintain complete and accurate records of routes, histories, activities, all at a detailed level. So if somebody calls in and asks a question, you have the answers. So how does this fit into our tech stack now that we've talked about the benefits and all that kind of fun stuff? Well, let's dive in. So the interesting thing with last mile technology is because it interfaces with so many different systems, it can actually sit in a couple different places. This is just one visual example, and I'll give you a few to think about. Let's say in an environment where packages or boxes are being delivered, you might want to optimize your routes before you start picking stuff from the warehouse, because that way you can pick, and when you pick, you can sequence, and when you sequence, you can load the vehicle. You might not need to sort, depending on your operation. Other operations, larger enterprises might need to sort. So they will actually pick first, then they'll do their routing, and then they have to use some of our scanning capabilities to sort. They might sort by territory first, then sort by route, and then leverage things like barcode scanning to load the vehicle so that we're sure that the right package ended up on the right truck so it ultimately gets to the right destination. And that can factor into so many other scenarios, whether it's e-commerce, order management, inventory management, or field service management, depending on where it is from a scheduling perspective. So it can actually sit in a bunch of different places. The most important thing, as I see it, to remember is that where you choose to put your last mile technology in your stack should be as flexible as the business problems that the tech is looking to solve. So as we continue on, using open APIs to integrate into unique industry solutions is key. Route for Me is built on a bidirectional API framework with webhook capabilities. So we as a platform have adopted a philosophy of being extremely flexible and extremely easy to integrate with. Whether it's your last mile data, routes, stops, addresses, maybe it's your business data, things like orders or schedules or workflows, or maybe some of your business rules that need to get into the system. For the system to build you the right routes, it has to get the right questions and the right data in order to give you the right answers. Things like time windows, driver skills, understanding the dynamics of your fleet. For example, if you have various size vehicles, small, medium, and large, whether the vehicles are commercial or not, those things matter, right? Being able to do this stuff super quick computation matters. How fast can you plan the routes? That all saves time and makes the operation more efficient, right? Here at Route For Me, we are built on enterprise quality. So therefore, security, scalability, performance, and usability are key components into what we do. We have published SDKs that are available for your developers. So for all the techies on the webinar, dive into our documentation. You'll see we're extremely well documented and easy to get along with. In an example where it pertains to work, to orders specifically, order management is one of those scenarios when you get your last mile optimization plugged into it, you can truly create a seamless workflow that just works. And the data flows through all the different aspects of it, whether it's order status or time windows or proof of service, proof of delivery, whatever those things are, you can get that data moving in, out, through the right systems at the right times, curating and creating that fantastic customer experience that we're all hoping to achieve. So with the right integrations and the right interactions with your customers, you'll be able to do things like quick resolutions of sales and support issues, automating notifications, which we've talked about before, and getting that detailed information in the hands of the people actually doing the work so that they can do the best work possible, creating those happier customer experiences. So comparing plan versus actual with telematics integration is another one of those huge assets that can be great. Now, in order for this to make a lot more sense, let me explain and break it down a little bit more. So what does telematics provide? Telematics provides invaluable information that speaks to where the vehicle is, what the vehicle is doing at the time, how the driver is driving, all that cool stuff. There's so many insights. I get blown away every time I see some of the new telematics data that's coming out. It is absolutely amazing. The thing that the last mile tech stack fits into, where it fits into, and specifically like here at Route For Me, we start adding the information that really helps complete the circuit, because we give you the information of what was supposed to happen, creating the plan. So knowing what's going on is great, but if you didn't know what was supposed to happen, it's one hand and it takes two hands to clap. So in this particular scenario, to create a rousing round of applause, we're going to want to have really, really good plans married with really, really good data so we can create that continual loop of improvement, right? What did we do? How did we do? And how do we do it better? So that all being said, what does building a business case for last mile tech look like? So if you've listened to this and you're like, Jason, this all sounds great, but how do I take this to my boss? How do I take this to the leadership of the company and have them understand how this is going to benefit the company? Let's take a look at a couple things that you can look at, super easy, not very complicated, that helps make the case for why this makes sense. If you are having to go through and consider things like avoidance zones or time windows or constraints in regards to maybe multiple depots or changing fleet sizes or any of those things that make the last mile a challenge, Those things all cost time and they all cost money. And it all takes an extra toll on the business in order to execute this stuff. So when we look at creating a simple model for calculating ROI, we can look at the simple stuff. We can look at the number of routes, we can look at the number of orders, we can look at the number of miles. And with that, you will have drive time, you'll have service time, so much time you spend on site, and you also have planning time. When you take that and you apply simple unit economics, like what's your revenue per order, how much fuel does it cost per mile, what's your maintenance cost per mile, what's your labor cost per hour. When you look at all those things and you calculate them out, you can see clearly where these financial impacts lie and what they are. By adding last mile technology to your stack, you'll be able to easily see and prove ROI with before and after analysis. You'll be able to see things like what was fuel cost before, what is fuel cost after, labor cost, maintenance cost, routing, you'll notice is all the same. The number of orders are the same, but we were able to reduce the number of routes, turning into savings in the form of miles, time, labor, fuel, all those other things, making it nice and easy for you to justify not only the cost, but to deliver that money straight to the bottom line, making all aspects of the business happier, specifically your customers. By reducing cost and improving asset utilization, for customers that we've done business with, we had a mid-sized 3PL delivery company with 50 vehicles increase their vehicle utilization from 65% to above 90. More utilized vehicles are more profitable vehicles. Optimized load planning, they consolidated deliveries and created more efficient routes. They actually met their existing demand with only 35 vehicles instead of using all 50. What they did, which wasn't necessarily wrong, it's a very natural thing, was when they got busy, they just kept adding vehicles. They just kept adding vehicles and kept adding vehicles. It was a logical way at the time to solve the problem. Introducing last mile technology created greater opportunities to utilize the vehicles they already had in more efficient ways, reducing the number of vehicles required and giving them ways to increase their uptime by having a pool of vehicles they didn't need to use all the time, which they could then sub in and sub out depending on maintenance requirements, needs, and the unforeseen things that happen when you have a fleet. All this leads to business growth. So when you can more efficiently use what you have in better ways, you're able to take and add orders. You can add greater capacity to what you have. This is a really powerful slide when you look at, for example, this customer was running 17,287 routes and delivering 273,780 orders. Over the course of a year, to be fair, they were able to increase that by 355,000 orders. But you'll notice the number of routes are still the same. So by not having to add any more routes, they were able to add 81,000 orders to what they were doing. That turned into a savings of 1.4, well, actually it led to an increase in operating profit of $1.4 million. It's actually pretty wild, the direct impact to the bottom line that this can have. And these are just some of the examples of what's happened. A medical supply company, for example, uses our platform and software to negotiate fair prices for contracted drivers. So in this example, it would be, we have to go do a bunch of pharmacy deliveries. We know how many typical prescriptions need to be fulfilled. And what we need to do in order to bid the work efficiently is we need to understand how much miles and how much time this will take using a previous data set that's close to what it is. We get that, we can accurately bid it, and not only is our pitch more relevant, our pricing is more accurate. We've had sales leaders at logistics companies have their sales reps get involved where they're now calculating cost to serve based on known operational costs like fuel, labor, and vehicle expenses. All these things set you up for winning proposals because your pricing's better. It's not artificially inflated because of the things you don't know. So it's all those different aspects that tie into both upstream and downstream within the business that help lead to bottom line additions in revenue, but also top line growth in terms of serving more customers. And with that, that brings us to the end of this particular webinar, but there's still a lot more information to be had. So If you'd like to get our definitive guide to last mile route optimization, please go ahead and scan that QR code. It's a fantastic ebook. If you have questions based on anything I've said, please ask. The only bad question is the one you don't ask. So feel free to drop them in the Q&A option right now. Get that fed in so we can go ahead and tackle some of those. We'll be taking some questions right now. We also had our last webinar, which is also available for you, Unlocking the Power of Last Mile Transportation. Sean hosted that one, did an amazing job. And the QR code for that one is there too. So if you want to take a minute, grab both of those. My email address is also on the screen. Hopefully you really enjoyed all this information and you think I did a really good job. If you didn't think I did a good job and you think this webinar sucks, remember my name is Sean. But overall, no, we really hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them through. But overall, I just really, really want to say thank you for the time and the attention and allowing us to share this information with you.
Awesome. Great job, Jason. So we do have a question that's popped into the Q&A. It's just really straightforward. It's like, how do you actually integrate with telematics?
That's a fantastic question. So when we integrate with telematics, depending on the telematics partner, there's actually a couple different integration options, but the most common is through our telematics gateway. Our telematics gateway is a universal way that we integrate with all our telematics partners. What this allows you to do is very simply, by adding 2 or 3 key pieces of information, sync your entire fleet with the Route4Me platform. You activate the vehicles that you would like to route and or track, and we then in turn grab that vehicle location data and a couple other key data points and overlay it into your routes while your routes are active. So that way you can see the vehicle as well as the route as it progresses. So you get that classic double check of, you know, where's the vehicle, how's the vehicle doing versus the plan that was created.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. Got another one here. Since you mentioned delivering audio directions to the driver, does that include directions for large trucks, i.e. tractor trailers, tankers, big ones like that?
Oh, that's another great question. So earlier on in the presentation, I mentioned that some of the constraints could be commercial vehicles, and that speaks specifically to that. So Route4Me as a platform delivers a 1-2 solution for commercial fleet challenges. So if you have a larger fleet and they have restrictions in terms of height, weight, size, if they are semis, if they're tankers, if you're carrying hazmat, we have a specific solution that will understand those restrictions and put you on compliant roads when you're building your plan. That's one part of it. The second part of it answers the question, which is in the cab, we set the driver up for success. We give them turn-by-turn commercial navigation guidance so that they stay on the right roads. So they don't do things like park a 10-foot tall truck under a 9-foot bridge or all those kind of other things that we've maybe seen on YouTube that make us cringe and worry.
Correct. And that is just to add on to that, those are delivered in an audio format too. So the driver doesn't necessarily have to be staring at the mobile app. It is spoken word. All right. So here's another one. Since you mentioned several times how optimization integrates with existing systems, how is that enabled? And then are there pre-existing integrations that we can leverage?
So there are some pre-existing integrations. So a lot of those actually live in the e-commerce space with people loading orders. So Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, or a few of them. There's more. We also integrate with API mapping platform called Zapier, where you can connect Route4Me with a whole host of other systems. There's hundreds of systems where you can take certain pieces of information from the system and send it into Route4Me, or take certain pieces of information from Route4Me and send it back. That's all powered by our APIs that are built as a core part of our platform. And doing that is easy peasy. Once you have an account, you get an API key. The API key is all you need in order to connect those systems.
Perfect. Perfect. Right now, I think you've kind of got everything covered. Jason, any other questions, guys? Don't be afraid to type them in. We're here to answer them to make sure that you know, if you have something rolling around your brain, like Jason said, the only bad question is the one that doesn't get asked. So feel free to pop it in there. We'll be happy to address it for you.
All right, while you guys are thinking of questions, I will pop this slide back up just in case anyone missed it.
Perfect.
Grab the QR codes. If a question pops in your mind later, take a picture of my email address, shoot me an email. I promise I'll respond to the question and get it over to you, or connect you with the right person to answer the question. Because while I do have a lot of answers, I don't have all the answers, but I will absolutely do my best to get for you.
All right,
And
here's one more, Jason.
perfect.
Yeah, so it said, did you say that you have the ability to show an end customer where their order is in the delivery process?
Oh, fantastic question. That is the case. So if you are leveraging our delivery management system, we do have the ability to show customers where the order is once the driver has started executing on the route. Now, it will show it in time. So it will give them like an ETA in terms of where the driver is related to where the customer is. And you can configure that experience to kind of be what you want. You can either give them a window of time, you could choose to show the vehicle or not. It really depends on what you want it to, how you want that customer experience to be, but we have a lot of options to kind of help you solve that problem.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, that's it for now. Nothing else has come in. I guess we'll do last call, folks. If you want to throw a question in there, type it up, send it in. We'll get her answered. I think you did such a fabulous job, Jason, that the, the
It looks like I might have left
questions
Sean
are limited.
speechless. Sean's internet connection
Ah,
might be thing
oh,
up a little
did you
bit.
not hear me?
So no, you went, the screen
Okay,
went
sorry. Yeah,
black, and then that was kind of it, and you got a little robot
I,
voice. But
I said that it looks like you did such a fabulous job that you got everybody's questions answered. So we just had those couple that came in, and there's nothing open now. So I think we're good to go.
awesome. Well, hey, once again, thank you everybody for spending a little bit of your Thursday with us. We really, really appreciate it. We look forward to working with you, answering any questions that may pop up from time to time. And if you're watching this as a replay, we really appreciate you taking the time to learn about what we have. And again, no such thing as a bad question. The only bad question is the one you don't ask. So reach out to us. I promise we don't bite. Have a fantastic day, everybody.
Thanks all.